Hello, I am Nadeem Sheikh, and I am going to tell you once again. I have to tell you about the history of the English language. And due to some technical problems, my previous language on this specific topic was not so clear. So I am just like going to tell you once again shooting this video. I hope that you would get a lot of information and it would be so beneficial for you in especially the learning English. I hope you would enjoy it. Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. I have drawn the map for the specific purposes, and I have just like I told you about in my intro about I am going to tell you about the history of the English language. For this purpose, as a very famous quotations on this topic was, they came to conquer and stayed to build. This quotation was specific for those nations who came here to conquer that specific area, but when they stayed here, they stayed here forever. So I have drawn the set type of the map on this the whiteboard, so that you would be well familiar about the that how the different nations rushed to England. And for this purpose, you should keep in mind that this area was that Mediterranean Sea, and that in the specific area that was the Atlantic Oceans. You would just like the thinking that why I'm just like the telling you about that. And keep in mind that whenever you would want to learn the well aware of the exact location of the specific area, then you would be get the benefit and you would get the knowledge of that we would be and we would. So I am just like going to tell you about it. Whenever you would know the exact location of some specific area, you should be well aware about the surroundings of that area. So I have just like the drawn the set type of the match which I referred to the England, and I have just like the decided, and I have just like the drawn the set type of the map into the 5 different ages. Our the first ages was the Celts. It would be the 500 BC, and then the Romans. The Celts housed here in this the specific area, and they were the oldest people, and they invaded that particular type of the area, specific type of the area that would be called the England. That was at the time only on the just like an island. So they invaded the such area, and after that, later on I would tell you that why they rushed to that specific area. And after that, the Romans invaded, just like I have the written here that the Romans, it was a great empire at the time. It was a great empire. They were civilized at the time, but they invaded the such type of the area in the 55 BC. They invaded 55 BC and they left 407 AD. And after that, there came the Anglo-Saxon age. Such age started in the 449 AD, and then the Scandinavians. The Scandinavians, the originals, they originally were the Denmark. They were originally from the Denmark, and the Scandinavians invaded the specific type of that regions in 1700, 1800, and then their ends was the 1900 AD, and at last there came the Normans. Today I am here to tell you about the specific type of age that would be the started from the 449 to the 1066. And in the next videos, in my next videos, I would tell you, and I will start from 1066 onwards. The main purpose of telling you about it, most of our students are totally unaware about the history of English language. They do not know that what is English and where it had been come from, and so that's why I decided to tell you the side type of information, so you would be the well aware of the side type of the informative lessons or the lectures. You can whatever you want to say. Now, our I am going to tell you about the background of that. What was the background and what were the circumstances which started and then a new language came into existence. First of all, it was the Romans in the 43 AD who first drove the original Celts inhabitants into the north and the west of Ireland. These were the peoples who forced such persons, such people, and they pushed them to the Ireland. Ireland was just like Ireland of that time. So, what was the cause they forced them? After the last Roman troops had been summoned back to defend the Rome against the invaders, at that time the Romans dynasty was in the dangers of some invaders. So not only they pushed them there, but also they went after them. सादा ज़बान में मैं आपको अपनी लैंग्वेज में, अपनी कौमी ज़बान में मैं आपको बताऊं कि केल्ट्स ने सबसे पहले यहाँ पर पहुँचे। वो यहाँ पर क्यों पहुँचे? क्योंकि रोमन्स ने उनको मजबूर कर दिया था यहाँ पहुँचने पर, हमलों की बदौलत, मुख्तलिफ वजूहात की बदौलत। सो जब ये यहाँ पर पहुँच गए तो रोमन्स भी इनके पीछे यहाँ पर पहुँचे और रोमन्स को फिर बाद में वापस आना पड़ा। क्यों वापस आना पड़ा? क्योंकि उनकी अपनी जो सल्तनत थी वो उस वक़्त गैर मुल्की हमला आवरों की जो है वो ख़तरे से दो चार थी। सो कुछ अरसे के बाद जब वो वापस चले गए तो कुछ अरसे के बाद यहाँ पर कबाइल्स थे, एंग्लो सैक्सन्स कबाइल, ये जर्मैनिक ट्राइब्स थे। ये ओरिजिनल में 3 ट्राइब्स थे, एंग्लो सैक्सन्स और जूट्स। इन तीनों कबाइल्स की भी आपस में भी अच्छी नहीं थी। वो लोग भी मूव टू इंग्लैंड। Such tribes also moved to England. So, and occupied, crossed the North Sea and occupied Ireland. Before the arrivals of the Romans, called it the Albians. Romans called this area Albians. Okay? But in the coming few years, England became England. कसरत इस्तेमाल से कोई भी लफ्ज़ जो है वो अपनी हैयत खो बैठता है और एक नई हैयत इख्तियार कर लेता है। सो इन दिस वे द एंग्लैंड बिकेम इंग्लैंड। इन दिस वे ईच ग्रुप ब्रॉट द डिस्टिंक्टिव कल्चर्स, norms, values and language with them. When they moved to that area, they brought with them their cultures, their norms, their values and language. As the different groups fought and joined together, it doesn't mean that they settled there with a peaceful way. They began to fight with one another because everyone was wanted to get the lion's share of that area. So, as the different groups fought and they joined together to form what would be eventually be the one nations, they joined and became the one nation. Their language jostled one another and combined also. In this way, a language came into existence that is called the Anglo-Saxon language. It is the old name of your English. What is the old name of English? Anglo-Saxon language. There are the many words which we are still using, like hunger, drink, food, mother, father, all prepositions conjunctions and the strong verbs. Keep in mind the strong verbs. Okay. All these nations began to assemble here, and from there the assemblance, there, there came a language. From there the dialects, from there the cultures. They developed a special type of language that is called Anglo-Saxon language, and it is also the old name of English. And keep in mind, at the present we are using the thousands of the words which came from the Anglo-Saxon language. Okay. Then we move to Anglo-Saxon society. How did Anglo-Saxon society come into being, come into existence? When Anglo-Saxons occupied Albion's England, today England, in the olden time Albions, they established a society which was consisted upon the different units. Such units joined together and called kingdom. That society was divided in this way. Just like once again the draw another figure, so that you will be well aware about the different sections of society. First, there were the slaves. The larger portion consisted on the slaves. Then the free. They were not the owners of the slaves. They were totally free. They were not the lords. They were the only public. So, upon them there were the thanes. In your language, in your English language, you would call them the leaders. These leaders were the masters of these slaves, and then these thanes elected their own king, and the king was responsible to run all these sections. I hope that you got it. Okay, we proceed further. The society was divided. They used to live in the huts, which were made of stones and wood. They mostly used to settle near the rivers and the seashores. Why? Because they were plus. And in those times, उन दिनों में कोई रोड्स तो होते नहीं थे, कुछ इस तरह का सिलसिला तो था नहीं, न रेलवे न रोड्स। तो वो लोग अपना सफ़र ज़्यादातर समुद्री साहिल के साथ साथ करते, दरियाओं के साथ साथ करते। इसी वजह से वो यहाँ पर मुकीम हुए, दरियाओं और साहिल समुद्र के साथ साथ। चलें आगे चलते हैं। The main characteristics, the main qualities of those people, they were the warriors. वो बहुत बड़े जंगजू थे, जंगो जदल में हर वक्त मसरूफ रहते थे, हर वक्त अपने उस दौर के असलहे को अपने साथ रखते थे, जो ज़्यादातर कुल्हाड़ियाँ और तलवारें वगैरह हुआ करती थी। They were the heartless, जालिम लोग थे। They were the hot tempered, छोटी छोटी बात पर गले काट देते, hot tempered. Okay. Their men were in the 180 centimeter long in the statures. The men were the long, and what was the length? 180 centimeter. Keep in mind. While the women were 167 centimeters to the 1 centimeters. Some more information about it. बहुत गंदे लोग थे, दांत साफ नहीं करते थे, बाल नहीं कटवाते थे, नाखून नहीं कटवाते थे, और उनकी जो खवातीन थी, they were the same. एंग्लो सेक्सन्स बिलीव की तरफ अब आते हैं, यानी इनके अकायद क्या थे, किस पर यकीन करते थे, किस पर यकीन नहीं करते थे। एंग्लो सेक्सन्स वर द पैगन्स। When they reached Anglo-Saxons here, at that time they were the pagans. Before them, Romans preached the Christianity here, so there were some elements of the Christianity. There were some churches, but when they invaded or attacked in this area, they abolished all the other churches. Because they were the pagans, they believed in the many gods and the goddesses. Vikings, the Scandinavians, belonged to the Scandinavians. They used to live in the North Sea. And I told you in the very beginning that they belonged to Denmark. In those days, that was not the Denmark, that was the Scandinavians. Okay. Vikings, who were the Scandinavians, believed in the Odin. You have also to watch the specific type of the films on your social media. They have made a films with the name of the Odins. Odins is a Scandinavian word, which was later called the Woden, chief god of life and death. Woden was the chief god of life and death. And then there came the Freya, who was the wife of the Woden and was the goddess of the home. Then the Thor was the god of the thunder and weather. This was the god of the war and sky. And you will take much interest when you will learn that the present days of the week, the names of the present days of the weeks were given in their gods, with the names of the gods and the goddesses. For example, the Tuesday, Woden, the Wednesday, Thor, the Thursday, Freya, the Friday. So there are the large number of the other information about the such nations, but I have given you the little information, very little information, and I can give you the more information of these people. For example, if we talk about the graves, अगर हम उनकी कब्रों की बातें करें, तो वो जो बादशाह मरते थे, उनको उन्हीं कब्रों को, बादशाह का सारा जो साजो सामान होता था, उसके हीरे जवाहरात, उसका ताज, वो उसकी कब्र में उसके साथ ही दफन कर देते थे। और इसी तरीके से जो बकिया लोग जो थे, उनका जो साजो सामान था, वो उनकी कब्रों में दफन कर देते थे। ख़वातीन का साजो सामान उनकी कब्रों में दफन कर देते थे। वो ऐसा क्यों करते थे? इसकी बड़ी वजह ये थी, वो इस बात पर यकीन करते थे या यकीन रखते थे कि अगले जहान में इन लोगों के पास अगर साजो सामान ना हुआ तो ये गुजारा अगले जहान में कैसे करते थे। सो दैट्स व्हाई दे बरीड ऑल देयर द बिलोंगिंग्स इन द ग्रेव्स। ओके, so I have tried to tell you something about the history of the English language, and in the very next video I would proceed further and I would tell you about what are those words which belong to that specific Anglo-Saxon words, and then we proceed further, and in this way we will reach the 2022. Okay.